Hey Space Cases, in this episode, the GOL begins work on an interstellar fleet, Vanger waits 65 years for a signature, and the largest portable toilet contract in human history gets awarded. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Space Cases. Space Cadet here. Today, in our continuing series, Are We There Yet?, we're going to be covering Standard Year 425 to Standard Year 565. I would prefer to cover history in 100-year blocks, but historians do not respect my OCD. Sit back and let's get straight to it. Mr. Whizbang, roll the intro. Standard Year 425. 10,000 additional EF personnel are added to Vanger to prepare for the trip to the Mayan system. Within 5 years, preparations for the last mothballed colony ship to make the journey to the new system will begin. The ship is retrofitted with new technology and renamed the CS Beta. A series of navigational probes intended to guide the colony ship are launched. In truth, these are porta-hotties, since the retrofitted ship was discovered to have no bathrooms. Standard Year 450. Riots break out across Lemuria and Amphitryon after rumors of another genetic draft for colonizing the Mayan system begin circulating. The GOL uses the CDFMP to quell rioting. Start a rumor you know will cause a riot, then use the police to quell the riots. Standard Year 455. 20,000 members of the EF and EFMC travel aboard the colony ship with 80,000 civilians drafted from Lemuria towards the Mayan system. Note, we no longer bother calling them volunteers, Space Cases. At its top speed, it will take nearly 355 years to travel to the planet in the habitable zone. The trip is monitored through probes at various points. Along the journey, Lemuria, Vanger, and Nyssa are closest and become the focal point for monitoring and communicating with the colony ship. This provides work for hundreds of trained radio listeners that were previously unemployed and is heralded as one of the greatest jobs program of all time. Really, the greatest. On Amphitryon, the reproduction and travel rules are lightened. This still doesn't mean anything to the common man, but hey, they gave the illusion of progress. The EF owns the entirety of one continent and conducts regular scientific experiments and warfare drills there. Lemurian culture dominates the local system. Lemurians have established large cities and made dominant brands. Though they share a common ancestry with the other colonies, they hold themselves above the others. But most importantly, they're humble braggarts. Nyssa and Vangar continue to grow as mining efforts become safer and materials to make vessels capable of space travel are accumulated. If mining is safe, you don't have to keep shipping miners out, which is expensive. Safe miners equals live miners. Standard Year 500. Let's talk about demographics. The human population of the colonies exceeds 3 billion. The average life expectancy is approximately 85 years. The oldest humans live to 125 thanks to advances in medicine and cybernetics. Lemuria has about 3 billion people. Amphitryon, about 500 million. Vanger has about 45,000. As the population of Vanger climbs over the 45,000 mark, the GOL decides to delay granting it colony status at the urging of private mining firms and the EF. It's mainly a paperwork thing. No one in the GOL knows where the colony registration forms are except Frank, and he's on vacation at this time. Nyssa has about 3,500 people, which is to say that Nyssa is essentially a rounding error. And the CS Beta has 100,000. On the technological front, many technological advances are mostly focused on exploration. Improved drives and protection from long-term exposure to space are considered, since, after all, we keep going into space. The first generation of combat-ready starships are envisioned and soon to be made on Vanguard for the EF and the CDF. Because why not? No one else has them, so let's be the first. Wait, who else is there but us again? Some drugs and rudimentary cybernetics are developed to complement human life cycles. Death rates drop slightly as a result. If you're wealthy, that is. If you're a wage slave, you die when everybody else dies. Spaceports are developed in synchronous orbit on the far side of Vanguard and Nyssa. While space travel remains relatively expensive in the hands of private enterprise, it becomes more common. Exploration. The EF establishes a third division for operational oversight: Long-Range Expeditionary Fleet Coordination and Operations Group, or LEFCOG. LEFCOG makes plans to build an operations center on the edge of the Lemurian system to pursue further expeditionary efforts to the Atlantean system. In the interim, an operations center is built on Nyssa. Satellites launched in Standard Year 350 reach the Mayun system and begin slowly reporting data. In that they really report this data at the speed of light, but it has to stop and use the porta-potties on its way back. The surface of Mayu is devoid of structures, but gamma radiation suggests further use of nuclear weapons. There is some vegetation, but the planet dips to near freezing every night, even in the equatorial region. Only a small fraction of Spectre's already dim light illuminates the surface. A moon orbiting Eulogy displays similar gamma radiation levels. It too is covered in ice and has a thin atmosphere. Unlike Mayu, the moon is perpetually frozen. It would later be named Epitaph. Standard Year 515. Concerns that the previous inhabitants of these systems met a violent end at the hands of an unknown alien presence in nearby space, and having encountered signs of a second destroyed civilization, the government of Lemuria, the GOL, orders a draft for the EF and CDF to research these civilizations more closely and to defend the colonies. Reminder here, Space Cases, defending the colonies was already their job, but the GOL wanted to make sure that they knew that. Wow, good thing we started thinking about building those warships, huh? Just lucky, I guess. The CDF mines the Stygian Gate in the Lemurian system. I know what some of you were thinking, Space Cases, but no, they didn't start digging holes in it. They started to place tactical explosives in the vicinity of the gate so that if anyone came through it... Wait, you can go through those things? Someone should study that! Construction begins on a large shipyard near Vanguard. The GOL intends to build an interstellar fleet for the CDF to protect the local system and for the EF to project outward. An interstellar fleet, which can rush to the aid of our nearby colonies in 300 or 400 years in the event of trouble. Standard Year 530. The EF focuses building efforts on Nyssa. Construction begins on a large base built through the ice on the moon's magnetic north pole. The base of the cone is roughly 2 kilometers wide, with anchoring extending another 10 kilometers into the moon's ice shell. Notably, the base extends through the ice shelf to allow for access to the watery interior. They decided that since there was a pool, they would essentially build a deck. A fourth division of the EF focused on research and development, the EFRD, is founded on Nyssa. Just now. It was just founded. Because before it was actually part of the housekeeping department. Those space janitors, they are clever though. A project to increase the ionosphere and magnetosphere using geothermal radiation from the moon's core is undertaken on Nyssa to reduce radiation from the nearby planet. Projectile capital ship weapons are developed in orbit of the planet. Energy-based weapons, lasers and plasma, will not be made effective for another 1,000 years. Faster than light, FTL, remains elusive to the EFRD through the modern era. Well, it is faster than light, so it is hard to catch. Other projects slated for consideration include storing energy for longer trips, better terraforming techniques, artificial intelligence, and cybernetics. Projects that actually receive funding are hair regrowth, erectile dysfunction medication, and a pill that lets you eat all the chocolate you want without going blind. Private mining operations extend into the asteroid belt of Nyssa. Standard year 565. The Vanguard shipyard begins producing spacecraft. The shipyard can complete 6 cruisers, 4 destroyers, and 10 patrol vessels every 10 years at full operational capacity. The ultimate goal is to commission 150 vessels to the EF and 100 to the CDF. So the order should be complete in about 125 years, give or take a decade. Para-terraforming efforts on Vanguard extend housing to contain 200,000. A new type of slow-growing coniferous tree is bioengineered using the photosynthesis inherent in the algae that scrubs the atmosphere. While not as efficient as the algae, it is more aesthetically pleasing. Because, like the old days, we're not as concerned with how breathable the air is, so long as it's pretty outside. Vanguard is formally recognized as a colony. A governor is assigned, and common areas are developed underground for the civilian population. Effectively, Frank returned from vacation, found the form, it was completed in triplicate, signed and notarized, then set in the GOL Prime Minister's inbox for 65 years. That brings us to the end of another episode of Are We There Yet? The series that explores our history and tries to understand how we've managed to make it this far. It's a cold universe out there, space cases, so stay warm and keep your zap gun handy. Hey everyone, if you like what I'm doing here and you want to see more videos like this, just perform the ritual of like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and adios!